Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, my name is Muhammad Anang Ma'ruf with student number 23403021886. And here, right now, I will share my government and opposition argument about the motion this house would let the government fully own and manage all public transportation in Indonesia. Indonesia's urban transportation system is currently fragmented, inefficient, and inaccessible to millions of its citizens. Privately operated services such as Metro Mini and Kopaja Mini buses suffer from a lack of coordination, which leads to congestion, inequitable access, and environmental harm. The government's full ownership and management of public transportation is the only viable solution to deliver affordable, integrated, and sustainable mobility for all Indonesians. While all aligning with national development goals at present, the system is characterized by fragmented ownership where private operators prioritize profit over public service, resulting in overlapping routes, poor maintenance, and unsafe conditions. The financial burden on commuter is significant, with transportation costs consuming up to 30% of minimum wage earner incomes, far exceeding global benchmark. Unregulated private vehicle dominates the roads, worsening air pollution and traffic congestions. Regional disparities are also stark as only 20 local governments actively develop public transportation, leaving many rural and underserved urban areas disconnected. The government proposes to centralize ownership under a single public entity to streamline operations, enforce safety standards, and eliminate profit-driven inefficiencies. It plans to subsidize fares to reduce costs for low-income users by reallocating fuel subsidies and motor vehicle tax revenues. The government aims to integrate network across cities and regions, prioritizing electrification and accessibility for disabled population to address concern about employment displaced private sector where workers will be retrained and absorbed into the nationalized system, ensuring job security and skill development. The opening bench argues that efficiency will be greatly improved through centralization, as a unified system can eliminate redundant routes, optimize peak hour service, and reduce operational costs by 20 until 30% via bulk procurement and economies of scale. Examples of Transjakarta and Semarang bus reforms demonstrate how centralized management reduces congestion and improve punctuality. Equity and accessibility will be enhanced because government ownership guarantees transport service for all citizens, not just profitable routes. Subsidies are expected to slash fares by up to 40%, aligning costs with the World Bank recommended 12 until 15% of income. Regional equity will be enforced through the service SIM, expanding coverage to 14 cities, including Bali and Makassar. Environmental sustainability is another key benefit, as electrified buses and rail network under public control can reduce urban emission by 20% by 2030. Centralized planning also enables congestion pricing and the creation of car-free zones, as seen in Yogyakarta integrated transit corridors. The closing bench highlights the long-term economic growth potential of efficient public transport, which boosts productivity by connecting workers to jobs, students to schools, and businesses to market. Studies show that every 10% increase in transit investment correlates with a 1.2% rise in GDP. Social equity is a national priority, as privatization tends to exacerbate inequality, whereas nationalization ensures mobility for marginalized groups. Indonesian Law Number 22 2000, years of 2009 mandates corporate restructuring to prioritize public welfare over profit. Government leadership can accelerate innovation by enabling rapid adoption of smart technologies such as contactless payment and real-time tracking. Without incorporating gatekeeping, Indonesia's MRT and LRT projects demonstrate that state-led innovation is effective. Opponents often argue that government-run systems are inefficient, but this is refuted by the fact that private operators in Jakarta lack maintenance standards, causing frequent breakdown. Public ownership, as exemplified by Transjakarta, raised efficiency by 35% through professional management. Claims that privatization foster competition and innovation are countered by the fragmented caused by over 20 private minibus operators in Jakarta duplicating routes and wasting resources. Innovation requires scale, and a nationalized system in cities like Seoul and Singapore lead globally in technology adoption. Concern about the cause of nationalization overlook the 22 trillion rupiah annual losses Indonesia suffers from congestion under the status quo. Public ownership can save 15 trillion rupiah annually through fuel efficiency and reduce road maintenance. And the conclusion is the government proposal is not merely a policy shift but a moral imperative. Centralized ownership resolves fragmentation, reduces costs for citizens, and secures Indonesia's sustainable future. Opponents cling to failed privatization model that prioritize profit over people, a system where 30% of a worker income funds chaotic, unsafe commutes. Nationalization guarantees equitable access, environmental stewardship, and economic resilience. Therefore, the House must act decisively to reclaim public transport for the public good. The issue at hand is whether the Indonesian government should fully own and manage all public transportation. We oppose this motion because centralizing public transport under government control risks creating an innovation monopoly that stifles innovations, disrupts livelihoods, and ignores Indonesia's vast regional diversity. Indonesia's transportation challenge require flexible, community-driven solution that integrate private operators and informal transport workers, rather than replacing them with a cumbersome state monopoly. Regarding the status quo, we reject the proposal for full nationalization and instead advocate for improving and expanding the current regulated public-private partnership model. This approach preserves the vital role of informal transport operators such as Angkot and Ojek, who provide essential last-mile connectivity and employment to over 1.2 million Indonesians. The successful Jaklingko integration system in Jakarta, which harmonizes fares and routes without eliminating private operators, serve as a scalable model for other regions. We propose targeted subsidies and incentives to encourage green technology adoption and expand coverage rather than blanket government ownership. Our opening arguments focus on the inefficiency of state monopolies, economic disruption, and the necessity of competition for innovation. Government-run transport system in Indonesia, such as Transjakarta, already require massive subsidies until 4.3 trillion rupiah annually, yet still fail to attract the majority of commuters, who rely on private vehicles due to inconsistent service. Expanding this model nationwide would replicate inefficiencies and divert crucial funds from other public priorities like healthcare and education. Nationalization threatens the livelihoods of millions working in the informal transport sector, as seen in Manila's chimney payout, which sparked widespread protests and increased poverty. Private operators have been at the forefront of technological innovation, pioneering ride-hailing platforms like Gojek and Grab, and leading electric vehicle initiative. A state monopoly lacks the competitive drive to innovate rapidly. Our closing argument emphasizes Indonesia's regional diversity, fiscal responsibility, and corruption risk. With over 70,000 islands, Indonesia requires transport solution tailored to local conditions. With work in Bali, tourism hubs will not suit Papua rural areas. A centralized government system risk imposing a one-size-fits-all approach that neglects local needs and knowledge. The upfront cost of nationalizing all public transport assets is estimated at 115 trillion rupiah, with ongoing subsidies exceeding to 20 trillion rupiah annually, funds that could be better allocated to healthcare or education. Concentrating control over a multi-billion-dollar transport budget in government hands invites corruption. A significant concern given Indonesia's ranking of 110th on the Transparency International Corruption Index and past infrastructure scandals. We anticipate the government side will argue that private operators prioritize profit over people, but evidence from Jakarta's Jaklingko shows that regulated private participation can deliver affordable, reliable service, uh, reliable service. Likewise, claims the nationalization ensures equity overlook how informal operators fill critical service gaps. Eliminating them would strand millions as witnesses in Surabaya after heavy regulation caused an 80% reduction in routes. While the government might claim public ownership reduce emissions, private companies have led the way in decarbonization. Bluebird Taxi's electric fleet, for example, has reduced emission. Oh, I'm sorry. Bluebird Taxi's electric fleet, for example, has reduced emission 40% faster than diesel buses operated by Transjakarta. Nationalization risks slowing progress by diverting funds to bureaucratic inefficiencies. And the conclusion from the argument is the motion to fully nationalize Indonesia's public transportation is misguided. True progress lies in empowering the informal sector, fostering regulated competition, and scaling integration models like Jaklingko. Nationalization threatens economic disruption, inefficiency, and regional neglect. We urge the House to reject this motion and instead support modernizing Indonesia's transport system through partnership, innovation, and local empowerment. Thank you.